I am so excited for yet another epic conversation on Rebel Radio Live. I am so excited to invite my dear friend, colleague, client, Edyta to the show. Welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Cindy, for inviting me. I'm just super excited to be here and play in our conversation.
I love
Play
it.
with possibilities.
You betcha. So you understand a little bit about numerology and you know your ruling
Mhm.
number. So I'm curious, what has been one of your biggest takeaways from understanding your chart?
You know, when I received my first blueprint or it almost made me emotional because it brought so much relief
Mhm.
that it made sense for me that as a five, I crave so much freedom and be expression of that freedom. And I would save myself probably a lot of grief, over years when I was in a very structured environment and with the work and all these things. So it's really brought some relief, and that's who I am. That's my blueprint, and it's okay to play with that freedom. And
Yeah.
also the other one was that I am information seeker, and I always, I'm becoming more and more open for the new information. So that kind of brought, more excitement and more possibility.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, when I got my numerology reading, I remember thinking it was like a permission slip to be me. And
Mm-hmm.
I meet so many ruling number fives that are driven by this desire for freedom, and yet working in a corporate situation where
I know.
you go to work and you got to work in a cubicle and it's like torture for you guys.
Yes, it is. It is. I just now when I think about that and reflect on that, I just like, wow, no wonder I just, I had that sense that there has to be something greater out there that I can express, and I didn't understand what it is. But now with that numerology, with that understanding, life is just much better,
Right? Freedom to be you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I love it. I love it. So, how would you describe who you are and who you're here to serve?
I am very passionate next generation early childhood educator.
Mhm,
I'm a soul nourisher. I am a recent brain game certified coach that I'm super excited and celebrating.
mhm,
And then, of course, graduate of Mindshift and brain game. But I'm here to support early childhood profession in that wave of change, in the wave of understanding what unity consciousness is, in supporting them in understanding as unity consciousness on a, as the way of being.
mhm.
So that's my goal, and I weave, Reiki and a Q and elements of brain game, and understanding the universal laws. I just bring all these elements into mentoring, just educators. It's my dream. It's slowly coming through, but this is my dream.
Oh, and I love that dream so much because, Brain Game saved my life. I was not in a good
Hmm.
place when I first came across that course. And to have that in our children's hands is like
Mm,
mind blowing. To think about what that would have been like for me at the age of 16 when I lost my dad, to have those tools to be able to navigate
hmm.
the emotional experience that I was having and to understand the science of how the brain operates and what's really going on. Like, I
Hmm.
wish I'd have had those tools, but of course, we're all on our own journey and we need to walk our path. But yeah, I think that's really important work you're doing in the world. So thank you.
Yes. I'm really grateful, and um, yes, looking forward. Just what's possible. It's really exciting for me. It just really gives me the body and soul shivers when I think about that. and the impact it can create for diverse communities in early childhood prevention.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. Brain game in everyone's hands, please.
Mm,
Yeah. So
yes.
speaking of unity consciousness, you brought that up. Unity consciousness
Mhm.
seems to be this term that we all have a different definition for it. And I would love to know how you define unity consciousness.
Well, for me, unity consciousness, um, it means that everybody feels the freedom to express their noble purpose in whatever capacity, it looks like. For that everybody understands that they carry this incredibly powerful source energy within them, and what they are capable, of creating, that they are capable of creating extraordinary experiences once they claim and understand that they carry that source energy.
Yeah. Yeah. When we understand our own power. I love it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It took me quite a while, but once I claimed that through mind shift, it opened up life, just the experience of life on so many different levels. I'm very grateful for that.
Oh, yes. Yes, I can feel that. So, what kind of rituals or habits do you have in place for yourself to stay devoted to that unity consciousness?
Hmm. It's, the continue um, deepening connection with myself as the source, and really staying, knowing that there is always community around me, always community who supports and speaks the same language, the language of unity consciousness. But it's also embodying, that source energy within me. It's connecting with the Q, my one of my favorite practices for that creative flow, for amplifying my intentions. And yes, and cultivating that curiosity and wonder. Just, yes, being open up, what's more, what can be created more once I am, feeling and tuning into that source energy.
Oh, yeah. I love it. The creativity. Yeah. And so I want to touch on Q a little bit. You've brought that up a couple of times, and it's possible that
Mm-hmm.
some of my audience doesn't know what Q is. So, Q is what we call quantum expansion, and it's working with
Mm-hmm.
energy within our own body and amplifying that energy in order to create. So, we work with three different formats of Q for the most part. We work with source Q, belonging Q, and creation Q. So, source Q is what you were talking about before, with really understanding that we carry that source energy in our body. And then belonging Q is my personal favorite, of
Mm-hmm.
understanding that within unity, all of it belongs. We belong,
Yes.
every human belongs,
Mm-hmm.
all things belong, all emotions, all experiences belong. And then the creation cue, of course, is also a favorite. I think they're all my favorites.
Yeah.
The creation cue is using that energy to express and to create and really understand that we are the creators of our own reality and we get to choose what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes, and it can create incredible magic. Um, but just that feeling, once we tune in and really understand that creative flow and how to activate that, yes, for me, it brings profound that experience of feeling, especially around belonging. Yes.
yeah,
um, yes, it's extraordinary. It's one of
very,
my favorites, one of
yes.
my favorites.
Mine too. Mine too. I'll make sure that there's a link to experience Q in the show notes.
Yeah.
So, as an entrepreneur, as someone who's got this dream for early childhood education support and things like that, how do you see your business evolving with your desire for unity consciousness? Because obviously, old business practices aren't working anymore. So, I'm curious how you see that unfolding.
Mm. I think just to whenever I go into the community of practice, in my community, I'm just, planting the seeds, introducing maybe new language, new vocabulary, new, yes, inviting just this more expansive conversations. So it can spark, these professionals, just that sparks the deeper conversations and what is possible. I just feel that it's right at this moment is just really inviting the conversations, and yeah, again, around that possibility and understanding. Yeah, I don't know why this is possibility. It's just
Yeah,
because we, in our profession, we've been for so long in a one way of thinking, and it's just, I think that we outgrowing that, and just allowing ourselves to witness that and just really create different ways.
yeah,
And
I love that.
yeah, through the brain game to start with.
Yeah, right? Everybody needs to brain game. Everybody.
Yeah, yeah. I want just every professional, just to have that access to the brain game, and really, really embodying that and bring that more and more into our profession.
Yeah. And I love that you use the word possibility because we have been programmed to operate a certain way within a certain system. And there's so much more available to us if we just open our minds to the
Hmm.
possibility, right? And if we just look around and shift our perception just a little bit and open ourselves up to that possibility, anything is possible. It's
Yes.
limitless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So, here at Rebel Radio, we love to speak to the conversation of wealth. And wealth is another one of those
Hmm.
words that everyone has a different definition. What does wealth mean to you?
Mm. That definition changed over last few years, especially since I took mind shift. But right now, wealth for me is to really experience the self-trust, to fully trust myself of who I am, to trust that there is this source energy within me and expressing through me. So that's my definition of wealth.
Ah, I
As
love
I
that.
trust myself, ah,
Yeah.
life is so freaking extraordinary, juicy, good.
Right? Yeah. I think that's probably one of the biggest shifts that comes from mind shift is the ability to trust yourself. And, even
Hmm.
with some of our other modalities that we teach with numerology and brain game, it just helps develop that trust muscle so that instead of
Yes.
looking outside of ourselves for the answers, we can just come within,
Hmm.
remember who we are, and then move that
Right.
out into the world.
Yes. Yes. That's my wealth.
Right?
That's
Oh,
my wealth.
I love it. I
And
love it.
meaning more and more. Yes.
So, what is one truth that you wish every entrepreneur knew?
Hmm. Hmm. Well, my experience is that we just we need to remain open and be ready to pivot,
Mhm.
um, and allow, yes, that's my be and not losing that wonder and curiosity. Just really be curious and what could be next.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I think it's so important. And you and I have had several conversations about the idea of play. And to me, curiosity and play go hand in hand, right?
Mhm.
Because if you think about little kids, they're just curious about everything in their environment and they're exploring and they're touching things and they're
Mhm.
asking the questions. I remember when I was a kid, I was, why? I was always
Yeah,
the why
yeah.
child, right? And I think when we get older and we think that we're supposed to act and behave in a certain way, and that as business owners, we need to stick ourselves in this box and be
Hmm.
responsible that we forget the expression of playfulness. How has play supported you as an entrepreneur?
Oh, it's in so many ways because when I go, when I work with the younger children, they remind me constantly just to, they staying present, and they can get so excited when they discover something, and that how to be excited and how to be yes, come with that open mind, the beginner's mind, and then from the moment to the moment the experience can shift
Yeah.
if I invite again that beginner's mind and that curiosity. So really it's helping me to to be open to the possibility and be more relaxed,
Mhm.
surrendering to that process of unfoldment of, yes, again, what's possible. um, just and see things more through the moment, and the moment of the heart or moment of the breath, not only just my mind.
Right? Releasing control.
Releasing control, yes,
Yeah.
releasing control.
I love it. I love it. So good. So, what's something that you've discovered about yourself in recent years through Mind Shift, through Brain Game, that has really helped you to grow and expand as an entrepreneur?
Hmm. Well, mostly I think is discovering and understanding that life is happening not to me.
Life is
It
happening.
was really,
Yeah.
really shifted uh, so many things for me, and shifting from that, victimhood consciousness into my powerful me. So that was just a huge awakening for me. Yes, just that inviting all the experiences that happened for me, so I can deepen my experience of life.
Oh, I love that, right? Because, that's something that has shifted for me as well, because I used to be in that victim mentality all the time, thinking, all
Mm-hmm.
this stuff is happening to me, and why is this happening to me? And then from there, the shift to this is happening for me, and being open and curious as to what am I learning here? And then making the shift to this is happening through me. I am the creator
Yes,
and the perceiver of my reality at the same time. So if I don't like something I see, I get to choose differently. I love it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And also, again, understanding my ruling number, right?
Mhm.
What I can play with, and what's my style, kind of, in a sense. What my ideal, client, or the energy that I'm opening up to. So, yes, few things, yes, they influenced and inspired me who I am becoming now.
I love it. So good.
And of course, my favorite feeling, source energy in me it was just, above everything. I always talk about source because it took me so long to feel it. And I
Mhm.
remember still that moment in the mind shift, when a round table, and I just claimed that. And I still hold that feeling and that experience of, yeah, welcome home, Edyta.
Mm. I love it so much. Thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you coming and having this conversation with us. And as always, we end the show with one last question. What do you dream of for the world?
Hmm. I dream for the world that everyone speaks the same language, the language of love, the
Mm.
higher love.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Mm. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Edyta.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for having me.